Hello and welcome back to Asia Now. My name is Alex and I was going to take a break today, but there are so many big stories to cover, so I said, hey, I got to make this video. Today I'll tell you about 3 suspects in murder of beauty queen and foreign boyfriend arrested. Tourist is facing $30,000 medical bill. 6 foreign nationals and their Filipino companions arrested. The Philippines BI advances border security with the launch of Advanced Passenger Information System. What is that? And several Australians arrested in different incidences. Plus more. In this video, lots of arrests all over Southeast Asia and not a good day for our friends down under. Here's our main story. 3 suspects have been arrested in the connection with the murder of the beauty queen Geneva Lopez and her Israeli boyfriend Yitzhak Cohen, whose bodies were discovered in Quarry in Kapas Tarlac in July of 2024. The victim had gone missing on June 21st, 2024 after traveling to meet one of the suspects regarding pond and parcel. A burnt vehicle with documents bearing Lopez's name was found the following day. One suspect, Jay, later surrendered and led police to the burial site of the victims. Charges were filed against 5 suspects and further arrests are ongoing, so 3 more have been arrested now. What a sad story. Can you imagine going to deal with land purchase? Honestly, that's why I personally never lend money to anybody. I'm sorry. Firstly, I don't have the money to lend anybody, and unless I know the person very closely all my life, I just say no. There's no shame in saying no sometimes. If you don't have it, if you don't want to deal with a headache, if you just don't want to get involved in financial transactions with people, just say no. I understand at the moment you may not feel like a good guy or something. Most of us are adults. We worked hard all of our lives. We should know right from wrong and just say no. Any kind of business and dealings, make sure it's legit. Do what you can, of course, once again, not to blame any victims, but it's always good to try to get a positive thing out of any situation and remind ourselves never to lend money to people that we don't 100% trust. And then 6 foreign nationals and 2 Filipinos were arrested in an operation of Grand Island, Subic Bay, Zambales on Wednesday. One of the foreigners had an arrest warrant for violations related to Securities Regulation Code of Cybercrime Prevention Act. The group was found in possession of cell phones, laptops. Next up, a situation a lot of us fear about medical bills. A Melbourne, Australian man has slammed his insurer after he was forced to cough up $30,000 of his own money for life-saving surgery following a heart attack while in Thailand. Stephen Stenson was about to have a second emergency operation when he was told he couldn't have the surgery until he paid almost $30,000 for the previous procedure. The staff brought a credit card machine with them into the ICU to show they meant business. Quote, he was on his phone moving $30,000 off our mortgage in a few minutes before his second procedure, end quote, his wife said. I was already so worried about him and whether he was going to live. She said her husband, whose trip was a Father's Day gift from his wife and children, had no previous ill health and paid about $200 for the travel insurance from one cover. He had previously used a different travel insurer provider, but switched to one cover because it sponsored St. Kilda, the AFL team he sports. Miss Bennett Stenson flew to Bangkok last Monday when she found out her husband had a heart attack and already had one life-saving operation. She said the insurer knew about the heart attack since her husband was admitted to a hospital last Sunday and should have covered his bill. Quote, we paid for the comprehensive medical insurance, which they describe on their website to be unlimited overseas medical assistance with 24/7 emergency medical assistance to assist you in a stressful circumstance, Miss Bennett Stenson said. She thought the insurer would tell her to focus on the IT professional husband, that they would sort out the financial side of things, but that was not the case. On the day of the second surgery, Ms. Benton Stenton said one cover agreed to pay, but instead she signed a disclaimer to say that they would cover the cost for the amount, but it would turn out to be a pre-existing condition, they would have to repay it. But even though she signed the waiver before the second procedure, the family still had to pay $30,000 to the Thai hospital for the first surgery. The second operation that turned out to a lot more expensive than the surgeons initially thought it would be, which led to the hospital badgering the couple for another $50,000. Though one cover did finally pay the $50,000, the family was told they would need to get the $30,000 back from the hospital, and which could take more than a month. Ms. Bennett Stenton said the insurer difficulties were a nightmare. On top of the nightmare of her husband having a heart attack in a foreign country, she said she was livid that we've been put through all this undue extra stress and that pressure was unconscionable. Though they were able to move $30,000 from their mortgage to cover the cost, Ms. Bennett said that's a hell of a lot of money and so many people would not have access to that. And what would happen then? And that right there is one of our biggest fears when traveling, having to deal with hospital expenses and insurance companies. You know, it's kind of crazy how they take your money without even questioning it, but whenever they have to pay, they make you jump through hoops. And who's got access to $30,000 to be putting on a credit card? That's insane to me. I mean, I don't, maybe some do, but that's absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, I'm not going to condone that kind of behavior, but you can see why somebody would do certain things like that Luigi Mangiani dude. Like, it's just unbelievable to be in a stressful situation like that where someone's like clinging on to life essentially and they're wheeling in a credit card machine and you're on the phone or your wife's on the phone talking to a credit card company trying to get you approved. Absolutely horrible. People like this, like companies like this should be held accountable, but they never are based on the whole way they get structured, set up. Next up, the immigration of the Philippines has launched the Advanced Passenger Information System, APIS, to enhance border security and streamline immigration process. The system allows for advanced screening of passengers before they arrive, improving risk assessment and passenger processing. The initiative is part of the President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s digital transformation efforts for national security. The system uses the UN's Go Travel software and has been tested with major airlines like Cebu Pacific, with others to follow. It also connects with Interpol Global Watchlist database. BI Commissioner Viado highlights that APIS supports the government's vision of more secure and efficient immigration system. Great. Another thing to go through as a traveler, but I'm sure it hopefully is worth it in the end, making things faster and catching some people before they step into the Philippines. In a related story where somebody actually been caught using one of these advanced systems, a Chinese national wanted for embezzling approximately $310 million was arrested in Bangkok on March 21st. The man who had been hiding under the alias Zheng Wei was tracked using biometric database verification after it was discovered that he was also operating under the name Dunan. Whoa, that's a lot of money to be embezzling. Here's one of the cases where biometric data and face recognition, those things are seriously good. So they caught him. They got him. Good. All that money. Hopefully, well, I'm sure who knows where that money is. But yeah, Vanuatu, come on. But you know, sometimes you could buy the citizenship, the whole backstory to this stuff. Now, this is a case where you might be understanding of why somebody does not want to extend their visa. Anytime you go through a process like this, they're going to do a background check, take a look at your face, and facial recognition may have recognized him. So he's probably like, yeah, I don't want to take that chance. Next up, a 57-year-old Australian man from Queensland has been charged with assisting a fugitive escape to Thailand by boat. The fugitive, facing a 20-year sentence for financial crimes, was picked up at sea and transported from Thursday Island to Phuket over 11 days. Police raided the suspect's home, uncovering laptops, phones with alleged discussion about the escape. He now faces people smuggling and organized crime charges, carrying a potential 15-year sentence. A lot of stuff going on in the waters in Southeast Asia, man. People coming in this way and that way, taking backdoor exits. Like, you know, it's a huge, like, cluster of islands, right? You can't control all those places. Immigration does not have that kind of resources. It's just almost impossible task to do. So people do go in and out of countries using islands, and this man tried to make a little extra money perhaps, and now is facing up to 15 years in prison. Another Australian having a bad day. And then some more Australians not having a good day. 5 individuals, including an Australian national, were arrested in separate buy-bus operations conducted by the FBI in Cebu on March 14th. 3 suspects, including a pregnant woman, were apprehended in Barangay Doljo, Fatima, with 10,000 peso worth of Shabu. A 4th suspect, Felipe Sano Peters, evaded arrest but is believed to have been operating Shabu den 3 years. On March 18th, an Australian, Tony Ristanovsky, was arrested for possessing 2,000 pesos worth of Shabu. Basically, an Australian man having in his possession controlled substances or illegal substances. Shabu, if you know what that is, you know what that is. So yeah, don't do that kind of stuff around here. They're going to catch you. Somebody's going to snitch. Once again, I know a lot of people partake in extracurricular activities. I'm not naive or blind to this stuff. But, you know, you run the risk of being caught and booked and sent to prison in the Philippines and deported, blacklisted, a whole bunch of stuff. So you got to ask yourself, is it really worth it? I wouldn't know, but I am curious, to be honest. I'm gonna try. I mean, I wouldn't mind trying some like crazy mushrooms or something. I just want to see, but I'm afraid I'll see some crazy stuff. I don't know. I know some of you guys have done it. If you're brave enough, if you want to share your experience regarding hallucinogens, Have you tried any, mushrooms? What have you seen? What happens? Does your mouth get dry? Am I on mushrooms right now? Why is my mouth hole dry? Next up, some bad news for condos. Metro Manila condo market continues to grapple with an unprecedented oversupply as new data from Colliers Philippines reveals a record surge in unsold units. As of 2024, the total value of unsold condominiums has reached a staggering 158 billion pesos, up 77% from just a year ago. Boo! They're saying over 8 years to get rid of these oversupply of condos. I personally, once again, would never buy a condo in the Philippines. I know people have different life circumstances. I have a feeling a lot of this has to do with the POGO stuff naturally, but I don't see much of a decrease in condo rental prices, at least not in Cebu. So leave your thoughts down below regarding any of the stories I covered today or condos overall. What are you experiencing regarding buying, renting? Some people don't mind it. So yeah, leave your comments down below. One more positive story. Let's finish in a happy story and we'll go on to our segment yesterday today. Oh, before we do that, a flight attendant aboard Cebu Pacific overheard a bomb joke from 2 passengers upon landing in Bohol Panglao International Airport on Saturday morning, prompting immediate security inspection. People, it's not funny. Stop joking about bombs at the airport on a flight. It's just simple stupidity and idiotic. Stop making jokes about something that serious. It can really delay flights, cancel flights even, get you in a bad position, getting fined, all that stuff. It's not funny. Nobody's laughing. When's the last time you heard somebody make a bomb joke? You're like, haha, that's so funny, bro. Now the positive story. The Malaban City government, in partnership with 12 local panciteria, have officially set a Guinness World Record for the longest line of noodle bowls after serving 6,549 bowls of pancit Malabon on Friday at the Malabon Sports Center. Those are Filipino noodle bowls. Yeah, awesome. Philippines has been setting a few world records since last year. Good for them. Now it's time for our segment yesterday today, where I read some of the most popular comments regarding our previous video. I'd like to begin by thanking someone who bought me 5 coffees and says, "Thanks for the hard work, sir. Thank you, I appreciate it." And someone else who bought me a coffee, thank you guys so much. That does mean a lot to me. It goes a long way. Believe it or not, those coffees make a big difference. So thank you so much. Randy Schmidt said, "With all the beautiful single Filipino women, the guy hits on someone's wife. What a POS. Hope he gets blacklisted." I get what you mean. There's so many women out there. Why even put yourself in a position like that? Elder Wayne says, "Always those folks thinking they are special over everyone." The sociopath says, "We're tired expat vloggers who peddle and harmful gossip do cause problems." CHM says, "You're doing a great job, Alex. Thanks for the updates on the missing hikers." And Mark says, "How people forget that they are just guests in other countries is beyond me. Always respect others no matter where you are at." I agree. And Cryptomundo says, "I've had to intervene to check foreigners being disrespectful to Filipinos. It amazes me how people are so entitled and manipulative while interacting with Filipinos." And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you're having a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are across the world. Thank you for watching as always. And leave your comments down below. Share your thoughts. Anything you want to share. We're growing into a very healthy community, which I really appreciate. I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow. Bye.